Hello, this is Pastor Katie here. In this sort of series of videos, I am sharing with you the Whodunnit, the mystery story of our Mystery Museum VBS curriculum this year. And so I'll be sharing the different chapters and parts of those chapters in these videos. Our mystery Whodunnit is called The Case of the Missing Portraits, a Sherky Holmes Whodunnit. This is part 1 of chapter 1, The Game's Afoot. The bus pulled up in front of the Agatha Museum's impressive front entrance. The kids rushed off the bus, eager to finally get where they had been going. They looked up in amazement at the big stone griffins on either side of the massive front door, and one by one noticed the figure standing patiently at the base of the steps. After all the kids quieted down, the curator stepped forward to say, "Welcome to the Agatha Museum," or, as we like to call it, the Museum of Mystery. I am the curator of this museum, which means I am in charge of all of the different museum areas and all of the treasures we keep here. The kids perked up at the word treasure as the curator continued. Inside my museum, you will find million-year-old dinosaur fossils, priceless items from ancient Egypt and ancient China, some of the greatest inventions the world has ever known, and our one-of-a-kind portrait gallery. With this, the curator spun around and headed up the stairs into the museum. The kids followed close behind as they were led quickly into the museum's grand foyer. The last couple kids noticed a brightly painted van pulling into the lot as they walked into the foyer. The various exhibits branched off from this room, but at its center was a special wall with 5 big portraits hanging in ornate golden frames. The curator stopped in front of the 5 portraits and let out a great sigh before turning around to face the kids with a smile. "These portraits are the pride of the museum," the curator said. "You can't find any others like them in the world." This week happens to be a very special week because we are commemorating these portraits with special performances by the world-famous actor, Miss Purple. Each day, Miss Purple will impersonate a different subject from one of these 5 portraits. In fact, she is already here. The kids gasped as a giant curtain tumbled down behind the curator and in front of the portraits. The curator didn't miss a beat and explained, "Miss Purple is ready for her debut as the brave, beautiful, courageous Queen Esther." Miss Purple flung the curtain open and stepped boldly forward as it settled again behind her. "Hello, I am Queen Esther of the Persian Empire," she exclaimed. "I am one of the greatest queens in all of history. I had many treasures, the finest clothes, hundreds of servants, and my life was a dream." The curator, a bit annoyed, interrupted her. "Now wait a minute, that's not quite right. Queen Esther's life wasn't nearly that simple." Miss Purple replied, "Well, I am Queen Esther." "Miss Purple, did you even actually read the script?" the curator asked. "Well, I might have glanced at it," she replied. "Well, why don't you read it now?" said the curator. Miss Purple fumbled around in the sleeves of her great royal robes to reveal a note card. She mumbled a bit as she read it. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I see. I, Queen Esther, did not live a dream life. Miss Purple recovered her dramatic flair as she continued. Even though I was selected by the king to be his queen, I had to hide my faith. Because I believed in God, I was in danger of being treated differently or even attacked. My cousin Mordecai helped me to discover that there were people in my own palace trying to get rid of everyone who believed in God. I gathered my courage and went before the king and uncovered the plot to harm us. I had to reveal to the king that I believed in God, and I could have been killed. But the king admired my courage and my loyalty to my people. He was merciful and set everyone who believed in God free throughout the kingdom. The curator seemed pleased while exclaiming, "Now that's more like it." Thank you, Miss Purple replied. I am one of the finest actors in the world, as you know. Now, I must say goodbye, but I will see you again tomorrow. With that, Miss Purple flung the curtain aside and rushed into the recesses of the museum. But something was amiss. As the curtain swung back and forth, the kids could see an empty spot on the wall where Esther's portrait had hung just moments before. The curator continued, "Everyone give a round of applause to Miss Purple." But soon, the curator sensed something was wrong and spun around to follow the kids' looks towards the portrait wall. Oh no, what's this? The portrait of Esther has gone missing. It was just here. Thief! Thief! There's a thief in the museum! Suddenly, a mysterious voice boomed across the gallery in a wonderful accent. "Did somebody say detective?" The curator replied, "No, I said thief, thief. There's a thief in the museum." Wearing a detective's cap, while holding a big magnifying glass, the new arrival to the museum stepped forward and explained, "Well, yes. You see, I am no thief." Then with confidence, she continued, "But I am the great detective, Shirky Holmes." The curator's eyes grew wide. "Shirky? I've heard of you. You solved the case of the Admiral's missing marbles. You're the most famous detective in the world. What are you doing at our museum?" Shirky answered, "This is the Mystery Museum, isn't it? I wanted to see your museum for myself. I had to borrow a van from my friends to get here, but it was well worth it because I love mysteries. And I love solving mysteries. I'm on the case, but I see that I'm not alone. There are many young detectives in this room today. Now, what's the first thing a detective does?" One child in the second row timidly raised her hand and asked, "Don't you search for clues?" Shirky gave a big smile and said, "That's right. A detective searches for clues. I'm going to need your help with this case. Whenever I tell you I'm searching for clues, you need to become perfectly silent. Because a clue can be something you see, but it can also be something you hear or even something you smell." The kids stared at Shirky in silence. She continued, "I see that you've got it. Well, there's no time to lose. I am off to solve the case of the missing queen's portrait. The game is afoot." The curator called after Shirky as she walked boldly off into the museum. "Thank you, Shirky. I feel much better with you on the case. Now it's time for all of us to explore the museum. Find your team leader and head off to your first exhibit."